Hello, this is Bent Yugioh Card, bringing you some Yu-Gi-Oh news. There are some cards posted on the new set that's next in Japan called The Shining Darkness. Most of the set, it's looking like it's going to lean towards Infernity, which is extremely good because Infernity's a pretty cool archetype where you don't want to have cards in your hand. They get all their effects when you don't have your cards in your hand. So I'm going to be going over some of those cards. The first card is Infernity Mirage. Its effect is, while you have no cards in your hand, you contribute this card to special summon 2 Infernity monsters from your graveyard except Infernity Mirage. This card cannot be special summoned from the graveyard. So, really good effect right there. The next card is Infernity Reloader. Once per turn, while you have no cards in your hand, you can draw 1 card, reveal that card to your opponent. If that card's a monster, your opponent takes damage equal to its level times 200. If that card isn't a monster, you take 500 damage. Regardless of what it is, you get to draw a card. So it doesn't matter either way. One way you're doing damage, one way you're not. It's not a bad cost to pay 500 life to draw a card. Pretty good. Next we have Infernity Beetle. He's a level 2 tuner with the effect, while you have no cards in your hand, you contribute this card to special summon up to 2 Infernity Beetle from your deck. So that's one of the ways that this deck's going to be able to synchro summon, and I think that's one of the ways this deck's going to go. Is going to go with some synchro summons. So. Alright, this next card is probably one of the best card Infernity monsters coming out in this next set. It's called the Infernity Revenger. It's a level 1 tuner, but its effect is when a monster you control is destroyed by battle and you have no cards in your hand, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. This card's level becomes the destroyed monster's level. So basically, it can be almost any level tuner, which is extremely good, since the next turn you can just normal summon in synchro. Extremely good card. Next we have some Infernity spell cards. Here it's called Infernity Gun. Once per turn you can send 1 Infernity monster from your hand to the graveyard. If there are no cards in your hand, you can send this card to the graveyard to select up to 2 Infernity monsters in your graveyard and special summon them. So it has 2 effects: 1 to discard an Infernity monster, 2 to special summon Infernities when you have no cards in your hand. So pretty good effect on that. And there's a bunch of combos, synchro and combos you could do with that. So. Now we've got some Infernity Trap cards. Infernity Break. Activate if you have no cards in your hand, remove from play 1 Infernity monster from your graveyard to destroy 1 card your opponent controls. So got some destruction cards. We've got Infernity Reflector. Activate only when an Infernity monster you control would be destroyed. Discard all cards in your hand. The monster is not destroyed, then inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. So that's one of the main easiest ways to get your hand down to 0 is Infernity Reflector. So you're thinking, oh, how are you going to get your cards in your hand? Infernity Reflector. Deal 1,000 damage. Is pretty. Next we've got an synchro monster for Infernity. It's called Infernity Doom Dragon. It's level 8, 3,000 attack, 2,400 defense. It requires a Dark Tuner and another non-tuner monster. While you have no cards in your hand, once per turn you can destroy 1 card your opponent controls and inflict damage equal to half that monster's attack to your opponent. This card cannot be declared. It can't attack after it uses the effect, pretty much. So there are synchros coming out for it, so it's gonna be really good. Now the whole set isn't just Infernity. There are some Mist Valleys. There's a bunch of other synchros and stuff like that. This set's actually going to be pretty good, and if you don't think Infernity is going to be very good, it's definitely one of those decks you can try and play, and it's going to be fun. But let me show you some of the Infernity cards that are already out. Now let me show you some Infernity monsters that are already out, or Infernity cards for that matter. We've got Infernity Force. It lets you, whenever an one of your Infernity monsters is attacked and you have no cards in your hand, you can destroy it destroys the monster, and then you can special summon an Infernity monster from your graveyard. Now we've got Infernity Necromancer. Infernity Necromancer, when this card is normal summoned, it is changed to defense position. That's when it's normal summoned, goes straight to defense position. It's got 2000 defense, so that's pretty good. While you have no cards in your hand, this card gains the following effect. Once per turn, you can special summon one Infernity monster from your graveyard, except Infernity Necromancer. So, really good card. Now, we've got Infernity Beast. Infernity Beast is actually really good too. He's level 3, 1600 attack. Beast, so he's rescue capable, I guess. If this card attacks while you have no cards in your hand, your opponent cannot activate spell or trap cards until after damage step. So it stops spells and traps. Pretty good effect. Now we've got Infernity Guardian. Infernity Guardian is actually really cool. If you, while you have no cards in your hand, this face-up card cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. So he just stays out. Nothing can take him down as long as you have no cards in your hand. And he's got 1700 defense and 1200 attack, so it's pretty good. Infernity Dwarf, probably one of the worst Infernities that are out right now, but the most spliceable. If you have no cards in your hand, all your monsters have piercing, not just Infernity monsters, all of them. So he does have a pretty good effect, but he's level 2, but he's a warrior. So he's not that hard to get out. He's searchable with Rhoda, but he's debatable, probably the worst that's out right now. Now, probably the best Infernity, Infernity Archfiend. Infernity Archfiend is pretty ridiculous. When you have no cards in your hand and you draw this card, you can special summon him. When he's special summoned, you can search your deck for an Infernity card and put it in your hand. So, extremely good. All 3 of these came from the Stardust Accelerator DS game, so if you have these just sitting in your binder, they may come in handy later on if you want to make this archetype. Now that pretty much concludes my news on the Shining Darkness set. More or less it was a video about Infernity monsters, the archetype. That's pretty much, I don't think it's going to be the next meta, but it definitely is one of those decks that's going to be extremely cheap to build and extremely fun to play with, because I know if you're like me, you've been wanting to play a deck that you didn't have to have cards in your hand. And that's it for me this time. Spent Yugioh card. Peace. And also I'll post a link to all those cards and some upcoming cards in that set right here. And thanks. Also leave cards in the comments you think would go good in an Infernity deck.